Now, before Cathie Wood, before ARK Invest, before crypto and stonks, a little-known investment management firm based in Edinburgh transformed over the last decade into one of the world's top-performing funds of its kind. Led by James Anderson, Baillie Gifford grew to have nearly $500 billion in AUM, with early bets on Amazon, Tesla. But now Anderson, he's retired, and the firm's bull run has slowed. That's the subject of today's Big Take. And for more, we're joined by the author of that piece, Bloomberg's asset management reporter, Loukia Gyftopoulou. So, Loukia, this was just a small Scottish asset management firm. How does it go from that to being just such a big player in the tech space and, of course, really beholden to this volatile market?
Hi, Danny, and I'm very happy to be here. This is nothing short of a fascinating story because Baillie Gifford he's been around since the early 1900s. It has gone through various existential crises, late 70s. They lost a big client, they nearly shut down. And then in the early noughties, it was managing around 20 billion. From there to being the top holder of Tesla, a big player in Silicon Valley, Amazon, Shopify, Spotify, Alibaba, what have you. It's the way this happened, somewhere in the early noughties, they decided, well, we're not going to invest geographically anymore. We're going to have a more thematic approach. And the architect behind that was James Anderson, who at the time was a CIO, but later had no formal management role in the company apart from being one of the partners. So James Anderson, with some other people, just put together some portfolios that just looked thematically more in a growth manner. They tried to find the companies that would define the mega trends of the future. And famously, they took stakes in Amazon early on when it was trading for just a few dollars. Tesla, they invested in Alibaba when it was private. I think the same for Spotify and so on. And so they during the COVID rally, they became this sensation that held stakes in every single name that was, whose share price was shooting up. And the same happened with the performance of their funds, which are now crashing the same way the markets are.
Loukia, good morning. I think this is just an amazing story. I've just started reading it there in the few minutes. But where does Baillie Gifford go from here in the post-James Anderson world?
So I think Baillie Gifford would argue that, with James Anderson not holding a formal management role, they're not going to miss him that much. But the truth is that he defined the DNA of the company. It was his ideas that put Baillie Gifford in the position where it is now. So I think he was a very intense personality. He was very articulate. He could convince people. He could have his way. So I think with him gone, they have a bit more flexibility to, have a more conservative approach to growth. This is not something they're saying they're going to do. I think what the company says is that we're going to wait and see. We have all the right companies, and then in the next 10, 20 years, we're going to be, we're going to rise again and make a lot of money for our investors. Right.